What is going on, everybody? WeedleTwineedle here, and we are back with another Sun and Moon Wi-Fi battle, and this one's gonna be against Taina. A person I battle off my Discord server. So if you guys are interested in a Sun and Moon Wi-Fi battle, enjoy Discord chat room and a place to hang out and find Wi-Fi battles, definitely check out my Discord server. A link will be in the description. Now me and Taina are having a never used battle today, as she's packing a pretty threatening team, kind of stally looking, Dustclops and Xatu and Licky, and she also has Virizion on there, which is pretty cool. I'm using a fun team featuring a Z Sunny Day Charizard once again, a Swoobat, Verless Viz, the classic. I'm also using Absol and Seismitoad. Garbodor and Seismitoad are actually a pretty good entry hazard core in the NU metagame, as I've learned. I also like Garbodor and Mesprit. But anyway, my opponent turn 1 is going to lead off with the Steelix, not too surprising there, as I'm going to be leading off with the 6-foot Kush, my Seismitoad, nice nickname after my boy Leo. Now, turn 1, my opponent is actually going to switch out, and I thought maybe on the off chance my opponent wants to bring in Xatu, I'm actually going to click Scald. Maybe fishing for a burn on them, that'd be pretty nice. So I'm going to go for the Scald, and we're actually going to get a burn here, which is pretty nice, and this is just going to take us some burn damage, and I'm like, alright, I can't really do anything to it, as my opponent actually ends up getting Psycho Shift, and I'm like, oh, so the Scald burn that I got actually works against me, and I'm actually just going to go for the Scald once again, because I just want to weaken the Xatu to the point where I can just lay up entry hazards. But I do get another burn, but it's actually, I don't think I actually did get a Scald burn. I think that my opponent has the Flame Orb. Yeah, that's the item, because could be a coincidence. It's hard to tell from the replay. I wasn't really paying attention, but considering my opponent does carry Psycho Shift, I'm just going to assume that he carries, Flame Orb. Now my opponent's going to click their Roost, as I'm going to switch into my Absol, my nice Absol. I haven't really used Absol in the NU metagame that much because I don't really know. I feel like Absol's pretty good though in the right situation. So my opponent does not want to stay in here with the Xatu, as she's going to pivot to the Steelix, and I do just go for knockoff because it's my best play. Though she could have brought in Virizion on me, I still want to click knockoff, and maybe the better play would have been to bring in Virizion, but knocking off the Steelix leftovers is very nice. As now I'm going to bring in my Solar Flare here, my Charizard, expecting Stealth Rocks, as my opponent is going to lay up in the Stealth Rocks, and thankfully I managed to switch in Charizard before the Stealth Rocks were set up, so I'm not going to get wrecked by them. But my opponent is not going to want to stay in here with their Steelix, and is going to bring in the Licky on me, as I decide to go for my Z move. It's not too much of a surprise. I do carry Z Sunny Day on the Charizard, because Sunny Day with Solar Power and Stab Fire Blast proves to be pretty powerful, and I was debating on just clicking regular Sunny Day and keeping my Fire Z move to nuke something, but then I realized that I need the speed boost to outspeed Virizion, or else it'll just probably kill me with Stone Edge. So I gotta keep that in mind. Virizion's one of the biggest threats in the NU metagame, in my opinion, and arguably the best Z-move user in the tier. So it's used on almost every team. I'm surprised how much I see it, but at the same time I'm not, because it's pretty damn strong. Fire Blast does get a lucky burn because I'm just on fleek with burns today. Solar Power, Stab, boost, Stab, Sun boosted, freaking Solar Power, modest nature, blah. Dude, this Licky was not ready. My opponent said that she has max BF, max HP, so this is power right here. And at this point, I think my opponent's just trying to stall out my Sun, because this Charizard has the potential to just freaking one-shot the entirety of her team. As far as I'm concerned, Virizion cannot speed me, so I can just one-shot it with Fire Blast or Air Slash, and my opponent's just trying to stall me out with the Licky, which I can understand. This Charizard actually does a lot of work to your team if played properly, and as long as I can get rid of some of these walls, that'd be very beneficial to me. So just gonna go straight for the Fire Blast once again, and we should be able to knock out the Licky. Freaking Z Sunny Day Charizard hits so damn hard. I'm so shocked. If my opponent tried to pivot into Quillfish, it definitely would have been 2 KO. No doubt in my mind. So now my opponent is going to bring in the Steelix, and I was thinking that she was trying to bait me into going for Fire Blast and switching to Quillfish, but then I realized I'm going to almost one-shot it anyway. So go for Fire Blast and knock out the Steelix. She's just trying to stall out my Sun, which was a nice play. So now my opponent's going to bring in the Dustclops, and I have no idea what this Dustclops wants to do to me. I kind of I don't know, I'm what can this Dustclops do? I haven't seen Dustclops in a long time. I know they're bulky with Will-O-Wisp and Nightshade and stuff, but I don't know what it can really do to me. So I go for Fire Blast, as my opponent reveals Calm Mind, and I'm like, you have Calm Mind Dustclops? Interesting. I mean, I feel like in PU, it could work, but like in never use, there's too much power that there's no way Dusclops can keep up to the power creep in this generation. I'm just gonna bring in my Absol here, just because, I mean, if he burns me, I do carry the Lum Barrier, so it doesn't really matter, and I can just knock off the Violite. So my opponent's gonna go for Shadow Ball, not do any damage, and yeah, I'd rather use Cofagrigus or Spirit Tomb instead of Dusclops. Just you know, some advice towards my opponent, but maybe she just likes Dusclops. I'm not gonna assume genders here. My opponent does make a nice play, switching into the Virizion on my knockoff and getting a justified boost. Pretty scary, but I do have a pretty good check to this Virizion, being my Virilicids. So I'm gonna bring in my Garbodor, my Virilicids, and I should be able to tank any attack from this thing. But my opponent's going to go for Sword Stance, and I'm like, damn, this Virizion's turning into a pretty big threat. And I don't really have much to contest it. I mean, currently it's 6-4, but this battle is still pretty close in my opinion. My opponent is going to go for the Z move here, and I'm like, oh, it's Continental Crush. Like, every Virizion runs this set. It's like Cookie Cutter. It's not Continental Crush, it's Cookie Cutter. That's what the Z move should be called. But yeah, just going to drop the freaking world on my head, and yeah, I'm just going to get one shot. Poor Virilicids cannot handle Virizion, the legit shiny Virizion heat. Unfortunate. So now I'm going to bring in my swoops here. My Swoobat. Now the Swoobat set's pretty fun. It's Calm Mind with Weakness Policy. Very cheesy. Extremely cheesy, actually. Like, damn, this set is so troll. Also has Endure. No, actually, no, this one doesn't carry Endure. That's a different one. But my opponent's going to bring in the Dusclops here, so I'm just going to choose to go for Air Slash, as I actually missed the Dusclops, which is pretty funny. Nice 95% accurate move missing. And now I'm going to switch into Wild here, expecting Will-O-Wisp or anything, honestly, as my opponent actually expects me to switch out and go, you know, double switches into Virizion, because my opponent needs to make very aggressive plays to win this game, so I can respect that. And now I'm pretty much forced to sack off something here, so I'm going to switch out and bring in my Solar Flare, my Charizard, and it's not going to be doing that much now since my speed boost is gone, so I live the Stealth Rocks with 1 hit point, as Leaf Blade is going to knock out my Charizard. So, I mean, Charizard did a decent amount of work in this battle. I couldn't quite steamroll my opponent's team, but, you know, it still did a lot, I guess. So now I'm going to bring my swoops once again, as I can just go for Air Slash and probably knock this thing out. So I expect my opponent to switch into the Dusclops or something else, so I bring back in my Mawile, not my Mawile, my freaking Absol. I almost call it Mawile because of its name. My opponent expects me to double switch and goes for Close Combat, staying in on a Swoobat, and I'm like, holy shit, dude, my opponent is outplaying the crap out of me. And now the battle is actually like really close. Like, my opponent definitely turned the tide of the battle in just a few turns. So very well played on my opponent's part. Gonna bring back in the Swoobat once again. I do have enough health to switch in the Stealth Rocks one more time, so it's something to keep in mind. My opponent is going to preserve the Virizion this time, and now bring in the Dusclops, as Dusclops can check me pretty nicely, as I figured my opponent would not want to stay in this time around, so I go for the Calm Mind. Pretty aggressive play, but at this point I need to compensate for my lack of, I don't know, predicting, because I don't know, when I battle late at night, I either predict a lot or I just don't predict at all, and I'm on like autopilot. But I'm gonna go for the Air Slash here. Stored power at +2. I don't think it would have knocked out the Dusclops. Like, it definitely would not have knocked out the Dusclops. So I go for Air Slash first, fishing for the flinch, because if I lose my Swoobat, I lose the game, right? So because Virizion just wins. So I had to go for the Air Slash Flinch to even have a shot at winning this game. So if I did not get the Air Slash Flinch, the game would have been over there. So now my Swoobat is pretty strong right now at +2. Actually +2, yeah, with Spidef and Special Attack, and Stored Power is 100 base power right now. Not the strongest set. I mean, unfortunately, Necro is my left tier, so it's pretty much the next best thing you're going to get besides Musharna.
I said
so,
swear.
Yeah, anyway, my opponent's going to bring in the Quillfish here, get the Intimidate. But Swoobat looks like it can just win the rest of the game for me at this point. I can just go for Stored Power. There's no way Quillfish slips this unless it carries Focus Sash. That was a very big concern, but apparently the Quillfish is not Focus Sash. We're able to knock that thing out, and it looks like Swoobat's going to get a bit of a late game cleanup. Definitely skillful. I outplayed my opponent that last turn for sure with the Air Slash, but I'm going to go for the Air Slash here because I don't know, I feel like Stored Power is probably going to miss, and we're able to knock out the Virizion, and my opponent's last is going to get bested by my Swoobat. So that was a pretty fun battle. Not gonna lie, it came down to the wire, and the Air Slash Flinch is the only reason why I won this game, by the way. I should have lost 100%. My opponent definitely outplayed me and deserved to win, but Pokemon, this is the game that we played, and we're able to beat Taina. I mean, I don't know. I feel like that's where my opponent got his name from, because I don't know. I just remember watching that show when I was a kid. I don't know. I'm getting like nostalgic memories. But I hope you guys did enjoy this Wi-Fi battle. I'm kind of narrating this at like 2 in the morning, so I do apologize for my weirdness. If you guys did enjoy this Wi-Fi battle and want to support my channel, please be sure to constantly crush that like button, as it means the world to me, and I really appreciate you guys' support lately. The likes in the comments, and it keeps me inspired to make daily uploads. And I really appreciate you guys and love you. Anyway, the question of the day is going to be, which Pokemon game did you guys play that you clocked the most hours in? Let me know in the comments down below, as I'm interested to see if you guys have as much of a life as I do. For me, the Pokemon game that I've clocked the most hours in has got to be either Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire, but I don't believe so. I think my Pokemon Y save file had over 999 hours easily. It had like at least 2,000 hours played from breeding and stuff, and I just can't believe I actually put in that many hours to Pokemon Y. And pretty much all the battle ready Pokemon I have are bred Pokemon from Pokemon Y. I have some new ones, of course, but most of them, like I'd say 85 or 80 to 85% of my Pokemon are bred from X and Y, so it's pretty cool. And I don't know, but yeah, let me know in the comments down below which Pokemon game you clocked the most time into, and yeah, I'll check you guys in my next video. Alright, peace.